Wide receiver starts, sits, waiver streams, daily fantasy sleepers, whatever you need, we got you covered here. Starting with Thursday night football, Denver Broncos versus New York Jets. Jerry Jeudy's a start. I stay away from everybody else in Denver. If Crowder can play, he's questionable. If he can play, I think he's a start. Everybody else for the New York Jets, I'm a sit. Arizona Cardinals versus the Carolina Panthers. DeAndre Hopkins is a start every week. I have Fitzgerald listed here as a sit, although if you like to play daily fantasy, I think he could be your next guy. Kirk is still injured. There's some rotation there with slot receivers and everything. I think this is a week that Fitzgerald could get in the end zone for you. Moore is graded as a sit, although he's kind of a mid-grade sit. I think he'll have a better week. I think he'll beat that projection. Robbie Anderson for me as a start. Baltimore versus Washington. Marquise Brown, I'm listing here as a sit. I actually don't have any Ravens as starts. Marquise Brown is the closest. I think he could get in the end zone this week. But Baltimore, I think, is just going to run through Washington with the run game. I mean, the passing game, downfield passing game is just going to be a little bit less impactful for Baltimore because Washington's defense is very good, but Baltimore should have no problem in this game. Washington, McLaurin is a start just out of necessity. Washington's going to have to push the ball downfield, and he's the only receiver that Haskins can ever hit. Inman, I have him listed as maybe a daily fantasy guy, but he's a sit in my lineup. Cleveland Browns versus Dallas Cowboys. I have Odell Beckham with a poor computer projection, but I think he's going to get some deep shots against Dallas, and Jarvis Landry is a start. He's a graded start. Dallas, I actually have 3 wide receivers, possibly even 4 deep at this point. I like Dallas's passing game. Gallup, Cooper, Lamb, start them all. Indianapolis versus Chicago. T.Y. Hilton's a start. Pascal is graded as a start for me for Indianapolis. For Chicago, Allen Robinson and Anthony Miller are graded as sits in terms of computer projection, but I would start Allen Robinson this week. Jacksonville Jaguars versus Cincinnati Bengals. DJ Chark is graded as a sit. However, I would play him anyway. I think he's going to beat the computer projection. Cole, Chenault, everybody else for Jacksonville at wide receiver, I would sit. For Cincinnati, Boyd is a start. If he can play, A.J. Green is a start for me. Keep an eye on T. Higgins as well. He's more of a daily fantasy guy for me. If T. Higgins is getting into the end zone, I like his snap share. His snaps are going up. His target share is going up. Look out for T. Higgins. He's starting to assert himself. The Los Angeles Chargers versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Keenan Allen is a start. Mike Williams is a sit. Godwin, if he can go, is a start. Evans is a start. Miller's questionable. If Godwin and Miller are out, you can maybe start Watson or somebody like that. For Minnesota versus Houston, Thielen and Jefferson are both starts for me this week. Fuller is a start. Cobb is a sit, although he's a daily fantasy type breakout player. I think he's too risky to start in my lineup, but I think either Cobb or Cook will get in for Houston, so keep an eye out for that one. New Orleans versus Detroit. Michael Thomas is a start, assuming he can play. If he can't play, it would be Emmanuel Sanders that would be the start. For now, I'm assuming Thomas will play and Sanders is a sit. Galladay's a start. Marvin Jones is a sit, although, as I said earlier, I do think Marvin Jones will have a lot more value now that Galladay is in the lineup and taking the primary coverage from defenses. Pittsburgh versus Tennessee. As I've been saying, watch out. If this game is played on Tuesday and then it gets a late cancellation or a late multiple week postponement, you are screwed. So if you have better options, play the better options. That said, Juju Smith-Schuster is a start. Deontay Johnson, if he can go, is a start. A.J. Brown, if he can go, would be a start. Corey Davis is a start. I stay away from everybody else, but if Deontay Johnson can't go, I like James Washington more. If A.J. Brown can't go, I like Adam Humphries more. Seattle Seahawks versus Miami Dolphins. Lockett and Metcalf are starts. Lock him in all year long. Davis and Parker this week. I think we are going to – Parker and Wilson this week. I think we're going to see some points. So Wilson for me is a sit because I think he's a little too risky, but I play him in daily fantasy. For Parker, I have is a start. Giants versus the Rams. Slayton is a sit. Everybody else for the Giants is a sit. Kupp is a start. Woods, I don't like the projection this week. I have Robert Woods as a sit. Buffalo versus Vegas. Diggs is a sit. Brown is a sit if he can go. These are 2 graded sits. I think the Vegas Raiders are very good on their back end. I think their secondary is a lot better than they were last year. That said, I think Diggs will beat the projection. I start him every week, especially with what Josh Allen is doing. Ruggs, I think he's not going to play, but if he does, I have as a sit anyway. Renfro's a sit. I don't like the passing game for the Raiders this week against Buffalo. New England versus Kansas City. Julian Edelman is a start, and N'Keal Harry is a sit. Tyreek Hill is a start. He's the only one I feel comfortable starting in terms of wide receivers. I think you have decent projections, but it's like flip a coin, roll some dice, figure out whether it's going to be Sammy Watkins, McCole Hardman, Demarcus Robinson, whatever. That's why I have them listed as etc. in the screenshot if you're picking this up on YouTube. Philadelphia Eagles. I have sits everywhere. I don't care if Alshon, I don't care if Deshaun Jackson play. I don't care who plays. I'm going to sit everywhere on the Eagles until I see them play better. Ayuk and Bourne for me are sits in San Francisco. I think both teams are going to try to run the ball and play tight end. And that's basically it. Atlanta versus Green Bay. Start everybody. Start everybody here. Julio Jones, if he can go, start him. Ridley, start him. Gage, I have as kind of a sit, although I don't mind if you play him because I think his flex score will be just fine for you, and I like him a lot more in daily fantasy. Adams, if he can go, you start him. Lazard is a start. Valdez-Scantling, I only have as a start if Adams can't go. Let's talk about some waiver plays or daily fantasy sleepers for you. I like Gallup versus Cleveland in daily fantasy. He's not going to be available in waivers, but daily fantasy, I like that matchup. Crowder, if he can go against Denver, I like that matchup. I mean, somebody's going to get yardage. You figure the Jets will at least get 150 yards. Half of that will go to Crowder if he can indeed play. Lazard versus Atlanta, I think, is a fantastic play. And Gage versus Green Bay, I think, is a strong play as well. Now let's move it to tight ends.